Good morning, good people of a great nation. It's a pleasure to be here on this auspicious occasion of, well, we are still in May Day, even though that was celebrated 4 days ago on Sunday. And we are still in the Salah mood. After all, celebrations continue. Yes, federal government actually declared Monday and Tuesday as Eid al-Fitr for celebration of the Ramadan, end of the Ramadan fast. So today is 4th of May, 2022. And we have something new to discuss with you, distinguished viewers. I don't know how many of us are familiar with what is called alternative dispute resolution. How entrenched is this phenomenon in Nigeria? There's also another peculiar aspect of the ADR, alternative dispute resolution, known as electoral alternative dispute resolution. We are preparing for 2022. And in this month of May 2022, almost all the registered political parties in Nigeria will be having their party primaries. Instead of going to court to resolve issues, is it possible for aggrieved aspirants to explore the possibility of electoral alternative dispute resolution? Anyway, there's a lot to talk about, and I brought in an expert, ADR expert. You would think he's a lawyer, but he's not a lawyer. You would think he's a judge. Well, maybe in a sense, but I will allow him to talk about himself. You will find so many things fascinating about this man. He's an ambassador for peace. And if I could tell you, he's an engineer. But he will tell you he's involved in human engineering. I don't know how that specific field of study came about. Anyway, Ambassador Seg1, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you for this privilege. I appreciate you. You're a great man.
You are welcome. I wanted to mimic you there. Anyway, you wear so many caps. You are wearing one anyway, but metaphorically, you are involved in so many things. You are an author, you are a mediator, you are a negotiator, you are a marriage counselor, you are just all over the field. But you know, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Who actually is Seg1?
Thank you, Excellency. Seg1 is a man that wants people to know only two things about him. I love people, I love peace. Every other thing is secondary.
You love people and you love peace. So, I've once hosted you on this show, although as at that time it was recorded. You told me how you ventured into, this ADR while you were doing your youth service. Was it in Delta or Rivers? Okay. Can you recap that experience for us? How did Providence brought you into the field of alternative dispute resolution?
Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate you, sir. You are taking me back memory lane. It's actually two-pronged. The first is, after my youth service, I got engaged with Libob. Libob was doing a job for the Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC.
SPDC, yeah.
They had a 32 million naira contract. They had gotten 10 million from the bank. The very first day they went to work, the youths in Ogunu, in Wari, attacked them, and they could not continue. As invited, Chief Uboma was there, the shared premises, and then the elders were there. Behind them were the youths who were not supposed to be there. So we asked them to ask the youths to excuse. And one of them, Chief Elias, said that the youths are our backbone. A man cannot be erect without his back. There's a way he said it, we knew it was final. And then he said that essentially the maintenance jobs, 3 organizations actually got it. And we are told that those from Niger Delta are not skilled. Is it that they cannot do maintenance job? And then he gave an illustration I will never forget. If you're eating with a blind man, he does not know what you are eating. The important thing for him is that once his hand is going to the bowl, that's on something. If the blind man puts his hand in the bowl and then doesn't feel or find anything, and he does this nothing, if at that point his eyes become open to discover that was his goat that he actually had killed, and you're now preventing him from, what will he do? And that's the way they feel, that Niger Delta is all rich. You have a lot of people coming from different places, coming to reap. And the NYC is a major challenge, actually, because you are posted to a place outside of your domain or where you are from. So what happens? If I'm in another company, if there's an opening, what will I do? I invite my siblings, my relatives. So this to a point where in the system, you have in departments, it is Yoruba they are speaking. It is outside there, because people came in there, and when opportunities, then they now, well, that's by the way. But after that Libob's experience, I started to form the arbitrators. Then I didn't know the difference between mediation and arbitration. I just felt there should be a way of managing differences and ensuring that organizations can actually go in, do their jobs without any interference from the communities. So my advice then to Libob and those in the meeting was that they should provide opportunities for those, the indigenous, to be part of. There was a markup of 60% then. Is it possible to share part of that? And that led to my being the first and only non-indigenous that was admitted into DOPCA then. DOPCA is the Delta Oil Producing Communities Association. The late Chief Elias was the chairman. Because it's somehow I was able to see the situation from their perspective. The second aspect was my chance meeting with the great man, Sir Kehinde Aino, Esquire. He is the one behind the negotiation and conflict management group. When he told me that was what he was doing, I was excited because I recall the experience with Libob. I had the privilege to be with him for 3 years, within which period I wrote the proposal for the establishment of the first multi-dock courthouse in Africa, the Lagos multi-dock courthouse. And I was the first in-house mediator there. And that started my journey into this wonderful ministry of reconciliation.
Interesting, interesting. So that was a very good background. Let's now break it down for the purpose of those who are watching who do not know what alternative dispute resolution encompasses. Can you just break it down for their knowledge?
Thank you. Conflicts are inevitable. Even the teeth and the tongue in their age-long symbiotic relationship, they conflict sometimes. When there are conflicts, what do? People go to the police, they go to the courts. The police is trying. On a daily basis, they resolve a lot of conflicts. But the training they have is such that is not fully under the ambit of alternative dispute resolution. They still may need some training to be able to fully key into that. Then if you go to court, what happens? Retired Justice Dolapa Kinsanya, in the paper she presented some time ago, in year 2002, said in part, and I quote, that sometimes cases will emanate from lower courts only to get to the Supreme Court and then be sent back to the court of first instance to be heard all over again.
De novo.
That at the end of the day, the parties are exhausted, embittered, and impoverished. Those are strong words. That the parties are exhausted and so alternative dispute resolution is about having options outside of litigation. But let's know that litigation is not bad. No. Litigation is an effective way of resolving disputes. Criminal, constitutional, human rights issues are best resolved through litigation. The challenge with litigation, though, is the fact that there's that delay. And justice delayed is justice denied. So litigation is not bad. It is the way it is practiced that makes people see it as very bad. A way that makes people who otherwise are reasonable become unreasonable. If the people are fighting, what you should do is to settle them, not to escalate it. Unfortunately, the lawyers themselves, who are the gatekeepers of dispute resolution, have incorporated ADR into their rules of professional conduct for lawyers 2007. And that provision clearly states that in his representation of his client, a lawyer shall not fail or neglect to inform his client of the option of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms before resorting to or continuing litigation on behalf of his clients. I'll take that again. Rule 15.3d of the Rules of Professional Conduct for Lawyers 2007 states clearly that in his representation of his clients, a lawyer shall not fail or neglect to inform his client of the option of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms before resorting to or continue litigation on behalf of his client. Rule 55.1 now says that if a lawyer acts in contravention of any of the rules in these rules or fails to perform any of the duties imposed by the rules, he shall be guilty of professional misconduct and liable to punishment as provided for in the Legal Practitioners Act 1975. So if a lawyer does not expose his clients to ADR, then that will amount to professional misconduct. And most of the courts, most of the states now have incorporated ADR with the justice delivery system. In Abuja, for instance, you will not take a case to court without accompanying that submission with a certificate of pre-action counseling to show clearly that you have exposed your clients to ADR before it's admitted. So before, during, and even after litigation, ADR options can come in handy. And that's why the Court of Appeal now has a mediation center. The Supreme Court now has a mediation center because they have found value in ADR. They've seen that when parties on their own agree on how to resolve their disputes, they're more willing to abide by the terms. ADR is a wonderful way of getting cases resolved outside of the regular court system.
Thank you very much. So we have alternative dispute resolution. You have explained what it meant, how it's been incorporated into legal practice in Nigeria. But there are different aspects of ADR. We have mediation, negotiation, reconciliation, arbitration, and all of that. So can you walk us through what each of those terminologies actually mean?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. For want of time, let's just assume that just as a golfer will select the right club for the shot and a mechanic the right tool for the job, different types of disputes require different mechanisms of getting them resolved. Because if the only tool I have is the hammer, when problems come my way, I'll see them as nails. So I'll just hit it in. Meanwhile, it may require a temporary fix. So by the time I nail it in, I make permanent what otherwise should have been a temporary fix. So what ADR mechanisms are all about is the fact that you can match the process to the needs of the parties. And very quickly, I need to emphasize that going forward, once we are in any contractual agreement, there is need to put an ADR clause that takes care of at least 4 of these mechanisms. Because there are very many, there are more than 15. But in any contract going forward, one can put a simple clause that the parties have agreed that any dispute arising from this contract, they will explore the options of negotiation, mediation, conciliation, or arbitration before litigation in the resolution of the dispute. So let me just take those 4. Negotiation is just about the 2 parties. Mediation, you bring in a third party neutral whose role is to facilitate communication between the parties for them to arrive at their own solution. In fact, taking the definition of mediation, mediation is a voluntary, unless ordered by a court, non-binding private dispute resolution process where a third party neutral assist the disputing parties to arrive at a negotiated settlement. From that definition, you can get 4 points about what mediation is. First, it is voluntary, except it's ordered by a court. That means you cannot force parties to they need to agree on their own. And then another point is that the process is not binding, but the outcome is binding. The process of mediation is not binding. To allow parties to freely participate, if they are not comfortable, they can work out. Once they sit until the end and endorse the settlement agreement, it becomes an enforceable contract. The third point is that it's confidential. That means that any information gathered in the process that is not otherwise discoverable is not admissible in court. What's the advantage? Parties can confess. In litigation, if you have somebody in the dock and ask, are you guilty or not guilty? The default response is, I'm not guilty, my lord. Mediation allows parties to say, I am guilty. But let's note, please, that confidentiality ends where criminality begins. Very important. Why is that so? A mediator owes more to the society at large than to the two parties in dispute. So if the agreement is such that's going to cause harm to the larger society, then confidentiality ends where criminality begins. The fourth part of that definition is that the role of a mediator is that of a neutral third party. There's a school of thought that says you cannot be neutral. That as you listen to a storyline or as you read one, you cannot prevent yourself from forming an opinion. There's somebody pricking you and saying you should not bleed. So you are neutral in mediation when two conditions apply. One, you have not been a party to the dispute, and two, you don't have any vested interest in the outcome. But conciliation is similar to mediation. In fact, UNCITRAL has harmonized the two. Internationally, conciliation and mediation can be used interchangeably. But in Nigeria, we are not fully domesticated UNCITRAL, so we still have those three differentials between mediation and conciliation. One, you must appoint a conciliator. A mediator does not need to be appointed. Two, if the parties or the representatives are not available, the conciliator can use documentary evidence. A mediator must meet with the parties or their representatives. And then three, a conciliator can suggest settlement terms to the parties and then seek their consent. There's a new concept now called mediative conciliation, conceived by Barrister Tim Ifeanyi and Ago. How does it work? It starts with mediation, failing which the parties have empowered you to decide for them. It's a wonderful process. The advantage being that you will not leave this process without an outcome, either one emanating from the parties or one imposed by the conciliator. Arbitration is like private litigation. They seek all witnesses. There are some differences between that and litigation. One is private, one is public. Then you cannot decide who the judge will be in court. When arbitration, you can decide who you want as the arbitrator. And then the outcome in litigation is called judgment. In arbitration is called award. If you are not comfortable with the judgment, you can appeal. The word appeal is alien to arbitration. If you're not comfortable, all you do is to go to court and ask the court to set the award aside. And then there are some blends. You have med-ab, you have ab-med. So many processes. The concept is that just as a golfer, like I mentioned earlier, we select the right club for the shot and the mechanic the right tool for the job. Different types of disputes require different approaches. And that's why finally on this, there's a new concept of EDR. EDR, effective dispute resolution. If we want to relate it to ADR, we can call it appropriate dispute resolution. Appropriate in the sense that we can even include litigation, because litigation is an appropriate way of getting dispute resolved. So you match the process to the needs of the parties. And that's what the different mechanisms are all about. For this privilege of explaining the different processes, I appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate you too, Ambassador of Peace. So you put many years into this practice, and recently you were in Dubai. What was that for? It also has something to do with ADR, isn't it?
Not exactly. It's actually about the blue economy.
Yeah, what's the blue economy about?
It's about harnessing the resources that our water resources can avail us. We have been talking a lot about the oil, about this. There's a lot of resources that has to do with the oceans. Nigeria has a lot of coastal lines. Dubai is addressing that fully. So what we did was to take policymakers and legislators to study what Dubai is doing and harnessing the full potential of the blue economy. It's a wonderful concept. They've got into it, and very soon we'll start harvesting the resources from the blue economy.
When I announced on my social media platform about you coming on these shows, there are so many positive response about your choice as a guest. What does that do for you? Because I tagged you on that, and when you read those comments, what are your feelings? Reading those kind of likes and comments.
Thank you. Two things. One, gratitude. Gratitude that God has allowed me to, as it were, key into this field. Is a saying that to find his way and feel it is success for a man. I found my way in ADR, especially mediation, and as the president of Mediation Training Institute, I'm using that platform to get more people to appreciate the need to toe the line of mediation, to ensure that they can build and sustain relationships, promote peace and harmonious coexistence. The second is, those comments are humbling. People may not know that there are a lot of people who are far better than I am. So when people think I'm the best in the field, it is humbling. It doesn't make me proud. It makes me grateful to God. And I must thank all those who made those comments.
All right. So we'll pause for a short break. When we are back, we'll resume our discussions on alternative dispute resolution. Welcome back on the show from that short advert break. Ambassador, EADL, like you said, ADL, I've learned new concept from you: effective dispute resolution, appropriate dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution. Why is this not taken into law school? You don't think it's high time we have that? Maybe people even majoring in ADR right from school, rather than something you pick up after your call to bar, and then you are it's kind of fostered on you as a lawyer.
Thank you for asking. Incidentally, the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators has a program for all the law schools. And my organization, the Mediation Training Institute, is the service provider servicing all the law school campuses.
Interesting.
Yes, so we go there, as it were, to catch them young, to let them appreciate the need to key into it. So once they come out, they can hit the ground running. And the 7th campus now, the Port Harcourt campus, the new one, we've already gotten permission to also ensure that all who are admitted there also have the opportunity of learning the full gamut. In fact, I call it a comprehensive bouquet of legal and therapeutic disciplines, creating an inspiring learning experience for the law school students. And they're excited. They do the program. They come out a lot just by exposing them to ADR. You find them writing about it, writing articles. Some have gotten scholarships, international scholarships, and recognition, because that is the way to go in corporate practice. People don't want to spend years. They go, no. And there's this saying about the fact that the notion that people want black-robed judges fine panel courtrooms and well-dressed lawyers is the setting for resolving disputes is not true. People with disputes, like people with pain, want quick and cheap relief. That was said by Chief Justice Warren Boga. So when the Chief Justice is saying that, it's about time that all who are in that field of justice delivery key into that. And if you tell your client as a lawyer that there are ways that are faster, that are cheaper, that preserve the pre-dispute relationship, the client will know that the lawyer has his best interest at heart. So the law school is the finishing school that helps them perfect the skills of litigation. And so we provide them that additional cap, the come out, also being vast in the different ideal mechanisms, including arbitration. So they come out well equipped. So the law schools are covered already.
Again, maybe we'll backtrack a bit. What are your plans, if there is any, or people in your kind of profession, to liaise with National University Commission to make it even as one of the courses to be studied in schools across the country? Because, look, yes, you said in your opening comment that conflict is inevitable, and we all know Nigeria is going through hard time in terms of conflict, in terms of violence, in terms of terrorism. So, don't you consider it's high time that maybe beyond, because I know, I don't have to ask you, you know our paths met, that you are an engineer, but you are one of the masters of alternative dispute resolution. And I'm saying this without being, I'm saying this not to make you blush. I mean, they cannot count 10 mediators in Nigeria without Seg1 whose name being mentioned. I don't know whether there is any ranking for that, but at least in terms of feasibilities, in terms of impact, you have made so much impact in this ADR field. So I'm just thinking, if it's a course, even if it's optional and not compulsory, and it could be made compulsory actually on campuses across our tertiary institutions, not only universities, that they learn about this alternative dispute resolution as part of knowledge that they should have, even to live their daily lives beyond the workplaces.
Sir, that is a wonderful concept, and I look forward to the privilege of working with you to bring that to fruition. When people have the skills to manage differences, can make a lot of positive impacts in society. There's this program we run on peer mediation for secondary schools to enable the students to be able to mediate, as it were, when they have challenges. Students who have done the program, they get home. When their parents are shouting, they call them and say, "Daddy, you don't need to shout to make your points." You can make your points without raising, and the parents are wondering, yes, it's coming out. And two principles normally will make them appreciate at all levels of the training is the fact that you don't have control over what other people say or do, but you have control over your response. And that nobody can make you feel bad without your consent. If you combine the two, the resultant effect is that happiness is by choice. You can be happy irrespective of what is happening around you. So when students acquire those skills, it makes them more deliberate in their relationships. They can be more introspective, appreciating that you are different doesn't make you bad. In a country where we have more than 250 ethnic and tribal groups, we need such training. And I tell people, that person you are seeing today, you call a stranger, is actually your cousin you are yet to have met. Because if we all are from Adam and Eve, then we should be able to appreciate this person is really my cousin that I'm just meeting. That will help us relate better. So that training, sir, I believe should go around. Not even just the schools, in the churches, the mosque, in the different corporate bodies, even the SMEs.
Exactly.
Yes. When people have the skills, then they can be better businessmen.
Exactly.
When the customer is before you, there's a way you can talk to the customer. And that person wants to, and the repeat customer is what really keeps you in business. So thank you, sir, for for
Yeah.
that.
So again, let's get to workplace mediation. A lot of disputes also happen. I don't know if you have any collaboration within Nigeria, is it National or Nigeria Industrial Court? Because I know it's the Industrial Court that deals with workplace disputes, you know, at the level of litigation. But is this something that you are also looking at, possibility of having this workplace mediation being sold to organized private sector, you know, players, for instance, to say, look, rather than when you have issues with your employee-employer relationship, whether there are labor issues, whether I mean, ASU is on strike now for 3 months, you know. Shouldn't something like this come in and do too? Because it's like the two are digging deep. The federal government say we don't have the money. The ASU say you can afford to pay 4 trillion for subsidy. So find the money. But where two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. You and I, our children, are home when they should be in school, learning on how to be man and woman of their own. So I'm just thinking loudly, you are the expert. What are your thoughts around this issue of institutionalizing ADR in workplace disputes, so to speak?
Thank you, Your Excellency. I appreciate you, sir. That's an area that is very germane, because people who work together, they're from different backgrounds.
Exactly.
And that space, most of us spend more time in our workplaces than we do at home.
Exactly.
Interacting with people from different backgrounds. And once there's interaction, there will be friction. The advantage of people having the skills in workplaces is that if you have the skills and I have the skills and we have issues, if you come to me for reconciliation, I will assume that you are doing what I ought to have done. But if you have the skills, I don't have the skills, or you come to me and may be defensive, feeling you are weak or guilty. So there's a training on managing workplace conflicts, a 2-day program that can assist corporate bodies to have their staff have it as part of their workplace competency. For the National Industrial Court, incidentally, the National Industrial Court has mediation centers.
Yes, good.
I had the privilege of being the one who gave the keynote address when it was established. And the idea is, if you check their act, there are only 2 mechanisms: mediation and conciliation for resolution of disputes, which makes it easier, because mediation is about bringing the parties together. And once they can agree, then it becomes easier for them to abide by the terms. Conciliation, you bring in a third party who can suggest settlement terms to them. So the National Industrial Court is trying, but let people make use of the provision. So the act is there. Those there are ready to support those who would want to use the provisions of the ADR offices. In this 36 states, we have National Industrial Court having those centers. So people should reach out and use those facilities for amicable resolution of their workplace conflicts.
Interesting. This is quite informative. If you are watching us, we are discussing the role of alternative dispute resolution in resolving many of the crises plaguing Nigeria, even though in a short while we will be dovetailing into electoral process. That's why I brought Ambassador Seg1 in the first place. But we cannot just go into talking elections when our daily lives and living also need ADR. That's why we have been exploring and making you and I to understand the entire gamut of alternative dispute resolution. Like I said earlier on, I've learned a number of new phrases and contexts and new terms like effective dispute resolution, appropriate dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, and what conciliation, arbitration, negotiation, mediation, what it all means. We have been educated on that. And you have not missed too much. We still have some a bit of time before we wrap up this segment. So, Ambassador, how does ADR applies to our elections? Because right now, as I speak with you, all the 18 registered parties are about to choose their flag bearers, and there are bound to be disputes. There are bound to be conflicts. There are people are buying forms for 100 million, 40 million, millions, you know, and there are so many of them. You possibly know already the speeches that are being bandied about. Oh, why should he run? He should have not run. He's a traitor. This is a Judas Iscariot. When people are using such languages on themselves, all in the name of expressing the stage we are is still even as aspirants. They are all aspirants. They have not even emerged as candidates. How worrisome is the situation right now? For how ripe is it for ADR to come into our elections?
Thank you, sir. They need help. They need help. We need help because we're all affected. What concerns one concerns all. Fortunately, INEC has made provision for such to support the parties. They have these guides that you are familiar with. Consulted for INEC together on this, and the political parties need to quickly explore those options.
Exactly.
Quickly. And why did INEC bring in ADR into the system? Section 10, subsection 2 of the Interpretation Act states that an enactment that confers power to do any act shall be construed as also conferring all such other powers as are reasonably necessary to enable that act to be done and incidental to the doing of it. I'll take that again. An enactment that confers power to do any act shall be construed as also conferring all such other powers as are reasonably necessary to enable that act to be done and incidental to the doing of it. Section 10, subsection 2 of the Interpretation Act.
Ambassador, you have become a lawyer by association because everybody seeing you citing those legal, legal documents and citing them appropriately, we think you are a senior advocate of Nigeria because they will never know you are an engineer by profession. But Yorubas will say when the soap stays too long with the the lips become soapy itself. So you have become a lawyer by association because I've just been watching you, delivering and recalling with appropriate citation all those relevant sections in the Interpretation Act, the legal and all the other legal documents. Let me not mimic you on that. So
how does that apply?
How does it apply to our elections?
Yes. INEC has been established to conduct free, fair, credible, and conclusive elections. And conflicts are a natural part of the process. That shows that INEC is empowered or should be empowered to do whatever is required to enable that which they are established to deliver to take place. I'll talk about that again.
Okay.
INEC is established to conduct free, fair, credible, and conclusive elections. And conflicts are natural parts of that. That then helps in why EADR is established. It used to be a full directorate, but now it has been merged with the legal.
Okay.
Fortunately, the chairman of INEC now is excited about EADR. In fact, last week, I had the privilege, myself and Chief Saloy Duru, Esquire, were invited to assist a particular political party. I've had their case in court since 2014.
Imagine.
To get it resolved.
2014
yes.
dispute.
Yes.
in 2022.
The chairman personally approved that we should be invited to assist. That department is doing a lot, the EADRO department. We have a lot of credible, skilled, and efficient staff there. They worked with us in getting the parties together, and they were there. By the time we are meeting next, we'll have a document to present to the chairman for the resolution of the dispute. So EADRO is a concept that the different political parties need to quickly key into and get their dispute resolved. For the APC, for instance, there's a way, that one you mentioned is going about, that if care is not taken, it may be the beginning of the end of the party.
Yeah, because there's implosion. I mean, there's so much hate speech, mudslinging, backbiting. I don't know what else I should. That you think that we are at war already, and these are just aspirants. These are brothers, you know, who eat at all, are eating and dining and whining together, all because of aspiration. Now there are different camps. Articles are now being written against and for, in support, and this is creating tension. So I think those of you watching us, you know, Ambassador Seg1 has told us, political parties, 18 of you, you need EADR, you need electoral alternative dispute resolution. Just go to INEC, ask for the directorate of EADR, and you will be taken there, and they are willing, and it's free, isn't it? It's free. It's free. I know that much. Yes. I know that much. Yes. So, but what will change? Because I'm just looking at ADR is a very wide concept. So, if you want to apply it to elections, what kind of modifications will you be looking at?
Well, for the primaries, it's very important.
Yes.
In fact, there's a guide that INEC provides for political parties to incorporate EADR even in their bylaws and constitutions.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once that is done, then it becomes imperative on all who are going for an elective post to know that once there's a dispute, this is the path to take. So for any party who is yet to incorporate that in their, let them quickly see what they can do to have it in. Incidentally, we're talking about the different means of ADR. There's also the concept of ADR, meaning African Dispute Resolution.
So it has multiple. That's the same DSTV, digital satellite television, and then there is also DSTV, Delta State Television.
So our traditional ways of dealing with
African Dispute Resolution.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's possible to call themselves together. INEC is there, but then it's possible for them to call themselves together. That's the way we have been doing it. Like a family that, look, the way this thing is going, heads will roll. Why don't we talk about it? They can call themselves together. And that's why INEC would even prefer that they have it entrenched in their constitution. So very quickly they can call and just get it resolved. And then they can document the agreement. The advantage of mediation, for instance, is that once that settlement agreement is documented, it becomes an enforceable contract that can be submitted to INEC, and it can be enforced to ensure that the parties can abide by the terms.
Okay, so as we wind down, because we need to go now, preparing for the next session, what are those things you want to... We didn't talk about how this applies to marriage. There's a recent case of Osinachi Nwachukwu that you possibly have read a lot about. You know, a lot of people felt, oh, she kept quiet on domestic violence. If she had moved out, if she has done this, maybe she would have been alive. What's your take as a marriage counselor? What's your take on what happened?
Thank you. That's a very, very sad, pathetic story. It is just one we're aware of. There are so many like that.
Sure.
So ask people to seek help. To seek help before it is too late. To seek help our pastors, our imams also need training, because the challenge is that when a woman goes to a pastor and says she's being battered, the average pastor will refer her to Ephesians chapter 5, 22 to 24, that a woman should be submissive to the husband in all. It's not easy when she's being battered. The man does not show that he has earned it. They need to appreciate, they need to find out and not take sides. With a training on mediation, for instance, they can see from both sides. There may be need for even separation for some time for them to know, because when people are in close relationship, there are a lot of things they don't want others to hear about, and they want to die in silence. Let people seek help.
So invariably what you are saying now is that the fact that you are a pastor, you are an imam, does not confer on you mastery of ADR, as to say that you don't need to be trained on it. You use Holy Spirit to guide you on how to deal with it. So you are saying pastors and clerics generally also need training on alternative disciplines.
Otherwise, they find themselves taking sides. Even the police, if a lady goes to the station, she's been battered, and she meets a male officer, is likely to ask, what do you do? If she meets a female officer, who did this to you? Because their training does not allow for that professionalism, where you must ensure that you get to the root cause of a dispute and be able to come up with solutions that are mutually beneficial and not escalate the situation.
So my takeaway from all of our discussion in the last hour is that all of us need to be trained, tutored on alternative dispute resolution.
Especially mediation. Mediation has universal currency.
Anyway, this will be the side. I don't need to say this, but Ambassador, Engineer, Dr. Seg1, you can see he drinks, he lives, he dreams, he personifies alternative dispute resolution. He's a man I have a lot of respect for, not because he's here, but I follow through many of his, his actions and activities over the years. Our path crossed some 10 years ago, if not more, and it's been I just wonder whether 24 hours is enough for you to meet all your daily engagements. Thank you very much for coming on this show.
Thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
I do wish you well in all your other engagements for the day and for the week and for the month and for the year. Send well to your family and stay safe, stay blessed. I will be back on top of the hour to take us on the second and conclusive segment of Development Focus with Jide Ojo on ITV. Remember, this program is all for sponsorship and advert placement. Come do business with us.